Welcome to Nattys Crafts. I'm Natalie. I'll be doing all the crafting today. And I am back and feeling great, so we're back to doing another challenge. Now this is the Little Bit Rustic Challenge, hosted by Connie's Nails and Creative Creations, co-hosted by Indiana Jones. So be sure to check out both of their links down below in the description, as well as the full playlist down in the description so you can see what everyone else created as well. Because again, this is a challenge, so there's lots of creators in this. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm kind of excited about what I made because I do not do rustic. I do not do, distressing and farmhouse. That's just not my style. But this is a challenge. So I figured I would challenge myself, and I think I did okay. So let's go take a look. So we'll start with this adorable sign for the kitchen. And of course, I always use Dollar Tree materials, so most of this stuff is all from the Dollar Tree. So pause here if you want to see what you're going to need to make it. And we're going to start with this love sign from Valentine's Day. And I'm just going to cut off that twine hanger. We are going to keep it because we are going to end up using that later on. And I'm going to start with making a back for this because we're not going to get all that glitter off. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to cover it up. So I'm going to use just this grocery bag, and I'm just doing a rough cutout now. I'm not going to make it perfect because I want to paint the sign first. So just a rough cutout on this one. And we'll go ahead and paint the front, or what will be the front of the sign. And I am doing white. Now, of course, this is where your style and your, color combos come into play. Paint it whatever color you like, whatever makes it rustic for you. I'm doing white, and then we're going to distress it a bit, if you can imagine that. If you know me, you know I don't distress, but that's what we're going to do here. This is going to be rustic when we're done. So anyway, we're just going to paint this white. Make sure you get all the edges and everything. Make sure everything looks good. It doesn't have to be real thorough because having the brown come through is okay. And I'm going to actually use this little crafter's square wood, a wood carving set. Now I should have done this before I painted it, but I didn't because I forgot. So you'll see I put the shiplap lines on there, and I did that just using pencil and a ruler, just making the lines so that I can follow. And so then I'm going to go back with this wood carving tool, and I'm going to make those lines actual grooves in the sign. And I figured out how to use it, so then it went quite a bit faster. So do figure out how to use it, use a scrap sign or something to figure it out. It takes just a half a second to figure out. And so you can see there's a big difference in having that groove there or not. That pencil line versus an actual cutout is amazing. So now this is going to be my new favorite task to do on every sign. So now we're going to take the Dollar Tree sign and we're going to fix it so that it fits. It's a little too large for this sign, so we are going to have to cut it down just a bit. And you kind of have to, mess with it a bit, take the pieces out you want, remove the pieces you don't want, make it fit how you're wanting it to fit. And then I didn't want it in the middle, so I'm still just trying to size it. I'm going to have to take off that rolling pin or that spoon at the top there. So I am going to take that off. And I wasn't able to just lay it on there. I had to maneuver it, size-wise, and then also left and right, because I do want a little wooden spoon on the right side there. So here, now you can see there, I'm moving that. And there's my little wooden spoon that we're going to end up with. Alright, so now I've got it figured out how I want it. So now we're just going to basically just squeegee it onto the sign. Now this is, the Dollar Tree sign is just a clear sticky sticker, basically. So you just stick it on. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the word "the" back on because I did have to remove that in order for everything to fit. Sorry about the camera shaking. I knocked it with my big old head. So just trying to line it up. I'm a little fanatical about it being centered and all that. So here I am. I got the sticker on there. The shininess of the background of it is driving me crazy here. So I'm using some white paint to try to smother some of that shininess. And it wasn't working, honestly. It just wasn't working. So I end up wiping half of it off because all it basically did was cover up the words. So now I'm going to go back and try to actually distress it using a wax paint. And the wax that I have is a little too light, I have to say. It's not the color I would want, but it's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. And so as I'm distressing, I am liking what's happening. I am liking the way it's looking. But that shininess of that sticker is going to drive me crazy. Look at me. There, I was just looking at it like, look at that shine. Look at, you see my ring light? It's craziness. So, of course, I peeled that off, put that back on its backing. And I went ahead and just made my own sign. I just had to. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. And so this is where if you have a Cricut or really good handwriting or a stencil or something, you don't have to use that Dollar Tree sign and be stuck to it. So that's what I did. I just made the sign. I just used the exact same words, just somewhat similar font. And here I just was lining it up again. And you'll notice I did go back and distress underneath where the sign was previously. I did distress underneath that, so there wasn't a big blank space there. And then I'm just going to squeegee this new sign on. And I made this just using the silhouette, is how I made this one. And then we're just going to go ahead and take off that transfer paper. And again, you could have just used the sign if you know a way to make it not shiny, or if you don't mind the shine, or you don't have to have a Cricut or something like that. And what I'm going to end up doing is going back to take out all the little cute pieces, the reason why I love that sign in the first place. So I'm going to take like the rolling pin at the bottom and that little curve, and then the spoon up toward the top. I'm just going to cut those all out, and I'm going to stick them right onto that sign. And I'm going to use itty bitty little scissors, which you won't see here, but use itty little bitty scissors to get as close to those pictures as possible. Once I got them all stuck on, then we're just going to go back with Mod Podge. Just don't want anything to fall off or start curling or anything like that. This actually is going to be hanging in my kitchen, so I don't want any problems. And then for the wooden spoon, I don't want just a plain old wooden spoon hanging around, so I'm going to wrap some twine around the neck of the spoon. And then just hot glue that down. And then we're going to make a bow. This was just a 3-finger bow. I think I wrapped it, I don't know, maybe 7 to 8 times around my fingers there. And then just going to tie one piece of twine around the middle of the loops to make the bow. Hopefully you're not looking to me to teach you how to make a bow. Hopefully you know how to do that, or someone else has taught you by now, because I'm not the teacher for that. And then I'm just going to hot glue my little fake bow onto my spoon there. And then we're going to go back to the sign and just figure out where we want it. I want it kind of leaning in a little bit, so that's what I'm doing there. And I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue. Now, honestly, the hot glue did not last, so I did have to go back and end up using some Gorilla Glue with hot glue. So that's how it ended up in the end. And then I go back. Now, this sign, for some reason, has some really weird little pieces sticking off of it. I don't know what that was about. So I just sanded it off. Now, most people would be sanding to get the distress look. I was actually sanding because I didn't want those little scraggly pieces hanging. But you could also sand for the distress look as well. And then I also wanted to show you these little tacks that I put in. I put those in the corner and then in the bottom of the spoon. And it looks cute, I thought. And then we're going to work on getting the backing onto the back of the sign to cover up that Valentine's sign. So just going to use hot glue and just glue all over the place, especially along the edge and the corner there. And get that all pressed down nice and strong. And we're going to use the sharpest knife I have, and we're going to cut off all of the extra paper. Now this is very easy if you have a super sharp knife. If you don't, the struggle is real. And then that's the way the back of the sign is going to look, which looks good for me. And that's going to be the front of the sign. So this is the end result, and I actually do like it. It's hanging up right now in my kitchen, so I made it spot into the kitchen. So now I guess I got to change some of the other stuff in the kitchen to kind of make it all blend in. But I just thought it was adorable. You know, just a basic sign from Dollar Tree that you're just updating. And rustic, right? That's the end of the goal here, is the rustic. This is the A Little Bit Rustic Challenge, hosted by Connie's Nails and Creative Creations, co-hosted by Indiana Jones. So be sure to check out their playlist down below. And here's the second item we're going to make. It's just a cute little vase. And I'm just using this kind of dimpled looking glass from Dollar Tree. We got to get that sticker off. I did have to heat it up with my hairdryer. And then once we've got that sticker off, then we're going to clean it up a bit using alcohol. So this is just a rag with some alcohol on it, and just wiping all the fingerprints and dirt or whatever else is on that glass. We want to make sure it's super clean. And we're going to use these little napkins from Dollar Tree. Now these are spring flowers. I probably should have done something for summer, but whatever, it's all the same. And I'm just going to measure, because we're going to cut this napkin down to make it fit. I'm going to cover the whole glass, basically, is what I'm going to do. But I need to get that size right first. So we're going to go ahead and cut that napkin down. And then we'll go ahead and separate the backing from the front of that napkin. We don't need that backing for this. And then I'm going to use Mod Podge to stick that napkin onto the glass. You probably have seen other people do this. This is a great idea. It's very easy. Nothing, pretty much anyone can do this. So we're just going to line it up. My main thing is just that it's even. That's my main goal here, is just to make it even at the bottom, even at the top. And I'm being very gentle. You maybe can't tell, but I'm being very gentle because it will, of course, tear because it's a thin napkin on Mod Podge. And sorry, it's kind of out of frame there, but I was getting all happy about it. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to do the next side. Now this glass has kind of 4 walls to it, so I'm kind of doing one wall at a time here. If it's round, you have to kind of figure that part out for yourself, but if it's got these 4 walls, it's easy. And then for the last part, there's that little bit of corner there I want to make sure gets down. And then obviously the rest of the napkin on the other side. So I'm first going to put down the corner that we started with, and then wrapping the other part of the napkin over that. Now it didn't match up exactly, which almost drove me crazy, but I did fix it and I did clean it up a little bit. So here it is all finished, and I did Mod Podge a layer over when it was all done drying as well. Now we're going to add the little decorative touch. Now this was actual metal wire ribbon, if that makes sense. And so that's what I'm going to add. I'm going to add a layer to the top, a layer to the bottom. If anyone knows how to glue metal onto glass, let me know, because I tried everything and it was very difficult to do. Hot glue, of course, doesn't go well with metal, so that didn't work out so well. And then I tried my super glue, and super glue worked a little bit better than the hot glue, but it still wasn't sticking very well, honestly. So I'm just putting the super glue every couple of, maybe every 2 inches or so, I would put some more super glue and hot glue as well. And so then we'll end up with some hot glue there on the end, on the tips. And once I got it all done, what I did was just put the clips on there to try to make it dry so that it stays. And then at the bottom, I did the same thing. I wrapped the wire around again, but at the bottom I used rubber bands because you can't do clips on the bottom. So I used rubber bands to hold the bottom part in place. And at the bottom, I used the Gorilla Glue. You can see that sitting out there. The Gorilla Glue and the Super Glue and Hot Glue. I used all three on the bottom part. So now this, there's the clips and the rubber bands were ready to sit. It's going to sit for at least like 4 hours, at least. Better overnight if possible. And here's my bad angle again every time I hit my phone. But all we're going to do, we're done. It's dry. Everything's good. So now we're just going to basically fill in the vase. So I've got some greenery. I honestly only have greenery that looks Christmas. So not sure what happened, but I only have greenery that looks like it's for Christmas. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do kind of a white looking springish, summerish. So this is how we ended up. I don't know. Are those daisies? I don't know what those are. Those aren't daisies. And there's that cute little vase. And I had to add my purple because I love my purple. And so I thought that was pretty nice. It looks somewhat summerish. I remember at my grandma's house up in northern Minnesota, she had this huge picture window put in, and once she had that in, the hummingbirds would just come and they would just knock into that window 50 times a day because they thought they could just fly right through. So those are my memories of hummingbirds. But anyway, thank you guys so much for stopping by and joining me in this challenge. It's a Little Bit Rustic challenge hosted by Connie's Nails and Creative Creations, co-hosted by Indiana Jones. And go ahead and make sure to check out their channels down below, as well as the full playlist, because there are lots of other creators who are joining in on this fun. And for me, I just appreciate you stopping by today. I'd love it if you gave me a thumbs up. I'd love it even more if you subscribed and left a comment for me as well. Thank you to all of you who did or have subscribed so far. I appreciate it so much. You'll never know. Thank you. Y'all have a great one.